In this video, I want to show you how you can integrate Cal.com into any custom application or booking workflow. Cal.com allows us to choose a time slot depending on your availability on your calendar. This works because our calendar is directly linked to Cal.com, and we can go through how we can get that set up a bit later on. And this avoids many back and forth scheduling headaches and makes the whole process much faster and more seamless, especially when you want to onboard clients very quickly. Let me quickly show you how I've integrated Cal.com into this simple patient intake form. This is just an example I've created. The front end is using Svelte and the back end is using Django. However, you can really integrate Cal.com with anything. In my example, we have a clinic that takes in patients. They would fill in their details. And once they fill in their details, they are then redirected to Cal.com. Once they are redirected to Cal.com, they can now only see the time slots that are available in your calendar. For example, the host, which is Night Tech. We can see on the 18th that they are busy from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. And on Cal.com, we can see that those time slots are not available. So that is pretty cool. If you go to another day, you can see you've got more options, but on the 18th, you only get these options. And this is where Cal.com really useful. You only allow the users to see the time slots that you are available. And you can also change these. So if you make it on a Sunday, let's make it on a Tuesday. You see that it's back up again, but on Tuesday, you will not be able to book those time slots. So, like I mentioned earlier, this avoids a lot of scheduling headaches as it allows the user to only book time slots that they are available, as well as the time slots that you're available, as this is linked to your Google Calendar. It also allows the Google Meet, so that's an option. There are other options as well, but we can go through that a bit later on. So let's go ahead and pick a time slot, let's say 3 p.m. and we can then test additional. And once we confirm that, what we will get is a booking confirmation that tells us what the meeting will be about, as well as the date and the host name. So we can see that John Doe is the person that filled in the form. And if we go into his calendar on the 19th, which we've got for the 19th, we can see that it's been booked out. As well as on our side, we can see that it's been booked out for the same time on the host side. So there's a lot of features that you get out of the box with Cal.com. One example is Google Meet, and this allows the client to join in on a call. They would also get the option to select the link. Something else I want to mention is in my example, I am using webhooks. The reason is Cal.com and my backend Django are two different entities. So the booking times and the booking ID would need to be passed over to my backend Django. And the way that would happen is when we hit the submit button for Cal.com, we then send out a webhook back to my Django. The data that would be passed over would be the booking ID and the booking date and time, which is somewhere here. I'll show you an example. We can see here the booking ID and booking date and time are the details we would need from Cal.com, and without those, it would just show a null value. Finally, we'll be primarily focusing on integrating and configuring Cal.com only. So the front end and the back end side are outside the scope of this video. However, you can find the full code in my GitHub. The link is in the description. In the next video, we'll set up and configure Cal.com locally using Docker, so you can then run it on your system. If you found this video useful, please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.